Hello everyone. This video that I'm recording is focused on the home practice exercise 5B, which focused on the accounts payable module. And this exercise that you will be doing is posted on your Blackboard site. And so to access to your Blackboard site and to get the instructions and the database file, you have to go to your course on the Blackboard, which is right here. And you go into the learning material, part B, accounts payable, and then you go into the week 9 where you find all your test material for test number 2. So over here right at the bottom you have two files. One is your instructions, which is a PDF file. Another one is a database file. So the steps is you're going to download the company file, which you need to use it to start your exercise. So you're going to download it, and you see that this is saved on my download folder. And then after that you are going to download your instructions, and what I recommend you to do is print these instructions because you'll be working on the software and you have to follow these instructions very carefully when you're doing the exercise. Okay, so now I'm just going to brief you out what this exercise is going to be about, and then I will jump on completing this exercise, and you can watch this video to understand what you need to do to complete this exercise. And I recommend everybody to do this by your own, and then once you're done, then you come back and watch the video to see if you did everything right. So this exercise is focused on accounts payable module. So everything else has been done already. The company file has been set up, chart of accounts has been set up, the opening entry is there, the taxes, bank module, everything is ready to go. So you're starting to activate the accounts payable, do all the setup part from accounts payable module, create the vendor group and vendor profile, and then recording the transactions in accounts payable module. Along the process, you'll be printing various reports, and then the instructions will be given what to print, and you want to make sure that you print that in the PDF format and save it on your hard drive before you close your software. So now you have two options to do this exercise. You can either use the application that's Humber AppStream, or you can use the software that you installed on your computer. So if you're working on the Humber application, which I'm going to use, you are going to click on that link, click on the business school standard, and then enter your login information and follow the steps to upload the company database file, which we downloaded from Blackboard. And then we will use this database file and do a database load and then start following the instructions. But if you're using the option number 2, you will be creating the new database file, and I recommend you to create a new database called QMB.dat and QMB.sys. And then once you have the create the database on the SQL, you're gonna have to create the database on the Sage 300 as well. And I'm sure you know this, or because you have done this before as well for your test 1. So if you still need the explanation, you can go to exercise 4.1 and 4.2 to refresh what you need to do to create the database. If you are planning on using this option 2 for your test as well, I definitely recommend that you do this step and make sure you understand it before you actually start your test next week. So this is the company background information. You can read about it, and then this is where your instructions is going to begin. You will use one of these options to open the application and get started. And then again, once you are into the software, you will use the app.dat. If you're using option 1, if you're using option 2, you're going to be using QMB.dat. And you're going to activate the module, do all these setups. Count as distribution codes, terms, vendor group, vendor, you're going to add these suppliers, and you're going to create these vendor profiles, and you're going to print these reports. Then you change the session date. Once you change the session date, you'll be asked to record these transactions. Once you record these transactions, you're required to print a posting journal for these transactions. Now, this posting journal could be a 1 or 2 posting journals depending on how many batches you created. So you record that and print it. So here I'm only asking the posting journal for the invoices only. Then you are going to record the payment. So there are two manual payments that I'm asking you to record. So you record it and post it. I'm not asking you to print anything. You're simply recording it and posting it. Then your manager is asking you to create a selection code. So you create a selection code, call all, and use the payment due date and the discount date for this selection code. And you do it for all the vendors. And once the selection code is created, your manager asks you to create a payment batch using the selection code that you created right here, and create a batch using the due date January 31st and the discount that's available from January 1 to 31st. So what you're going to do is you are going to tell the system to create a batch for you, and in that batch you want to pick up all the transactions that are due on June 31st or has the discount available from January 1 to January 31st. However, he asked you to hold the payment for invoice 4598 for code and food services, as there's an issue with the product that we received in the order. So what your manager told you to create invoices for all the outstanding invoices and the ones that have a discount date, but he said make sure that you don't pay this invoice to the Gordon Food Services. So here you have to manually go back and put a hold on this payment for this invoice. So which you have practiced in chapter 4. I'm sure you will able to do that and review it after to make sure you did it right. And once you fill up all the information, then you run a check registered. Once you check register, you click on registered, and then once you have that registered report, you print that report and save it as report number 5. Once you're happy with the report, then you click a generate batch and generate a payment batch using that criteria here. And then whatever batch that was created, you're going to have to post that batch. And once that batch is posted, you go into your reports and then print a check log for all the checks that were printed from January 1 to January 31st. Report number 7, you're going to print the aged accounts payable. And then step number 18, you are going to set up the bank account and make that account subledger AP and BK, and then also going to make an accounts payable account, a control account, and link that with the accounts payable module. Once you set up that, you're going to go into the journal ledger and post all the batches that are sitting there. And the only thing that you don't post is the opening batch. So there will be a 1 or 2 opening batches that are there. I think there's only one for the bank reconciliation. So you delete that batch and remaining batches you post them. Then you are going to prepare the trial balance. Once everything is posted, you print a trial balance and save it as report number 8 on January 31st. And once that part is done, you've done the work. And now what you're going to do is you're going to create a folder called HPE 5P and create a backup database dump in that particular folder. And then zip it and then save everything on your C drive if you're working on the app stream. So these are the steps that you have to follow. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this exercise so you guys can see it, what the process is. And again, I'm not going to talk about it. You can simply watch it, and I'm going to try to speak as minimum as required. But you guys can watch me going through all the steps. So first, I need the database file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in to the app stream. And in this exercise, I'm using option number 1. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder for my reports and backups. So I'm going to upload the file, the one that I downloaded from the desktop, from the Blackboard, which is this one right here. Next step, I'm going to unzip it. Okay, once the file is unzipped, we're going to do a database load. Upload dump, we're going to do a database load actually. And we're going to find that location. Okay, now we're going to open the say 300. And we're going to, so the company that we're selecting is APT DAT, and the session date we're going to select is 01/01/2021. And the first thing that we're going to do is once we log in, we can change the company name to your own name, so that way you can show that this is your own company file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to replace the your name to my own name, so that when any reports I'm printing, it will have the name on top of it. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do data activation, and I'm going to activate accounts payable module. Okay, and then the next exercise I'm going to focus on AP setup options, and I'll leave everything as it is. Maybe you want this page your name, processing, no changes, transactions, we select the default, bank as TD, leave everything as default, numbering, leave everything as default, and click save and close. Then we come to account sets, and we're going to create two account set. We're going to do one for TCAN, and we're going to say is takeout. And the purchase discount, we're going to do cost of sales for the takeout department. We're going to use the same accounts payable account, and then we're going to create another one is DCAN is the dining ones. So these are the vendors for the dinings, and the only difference we're going to do is we're going to change that for 002 dining cost of sales. So we created the two account sets. Now we're going to create the distribution codes. So first one we're going to create is COS 001, and you're going to call this is cost of sales takeout, and we're going to link this one with the cost of goods sold account. And then we will create another one 002 and make this dining, link that with 002. Okay, so distribution codes, and there's no need for distribution sets, and we are not creating any. And then we are asked to create three terms, so we're going to go into the terms. We're going to do one for net 10 days. This is calculate the base discount with the tax excluded, day from the invoice, and how many days is due in 10 days. Then we do N30, net 30 days, same thing, and the only difference is this is due in 30 days. Then we're going to do one more, 210 net 30. So this one is there's 2% discount on 10 days, net 30. So here we said due in 30 days, 2% discount paid in 10 days, and the discount is excluded. Add. Okay, so there are three terms that you created. Then you go into the vendor groups. Okay, for vendor groups, you go under the AP vendors, go into the vendor groups. First group we're going to create is TCAN, which is the takeout vendors. Okay, and for this one, we're going to have this one linked with the TCAN vendors, and the terms for these vendors are net 30, and the bank is the TD checking, and we pay by check. Invoicing, we're going to leave it blank. No, so we actually have the distribution codes, and this one goes directly to the TCAN is 001, so we link that to that, and the taxes is HST Ontario. Okay, and then add, and no changes with the other one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same one with the DCAN, which is the dining vendors, and this one we will switch the distribution account sets for that particular vendor, and the terms is still net 30, bank, TD checking, and the payment code is check. Invoicing, we're going to change this to the dining COS 007, and everything else remain same, and then click add. Now we need to create vendors, so you go to the vendors. Okay, so this is a common error. I see that students saying that you cannot do a control. So if you ever see this error, now this is important, everyone, pay attention to it. So if you ever see this error, you do press OK, click on this sign right to do a full screen mode. So what we find out from the Humber IT, they said it actually eliminates if there's less space on this. So you can click on this cursor to do a full screen. So technically you're still in the same window, but you're doing a full screen. And now if I go here to create a vendor, I won't see that error. Okay, so you can go into the full screen and then create it, and then if you want to come back out you can come out of the full screen if you want to, but you don't have to. You can still work on the full screen. So let's create these vendors, and I'll show you how to come out from the full screen. So we do first one. Now the codes are not so important. Vendor number, so we can just put any number 001, and here we go call this Golden Food Services, and the group this belongs to is the DCAN. And if you have the information, you enter. If not, you just leave it as it is. And then under the credit limit, we are giving 20,000 credit, and there's no other information, so you leave everything as default. Add, and then we create 002, that's Costco Business Center. And again, if you're given, so this one is done, is the TCAN group. Costco Business. Okay, and it says the limit is 5,000. Okay, and everything else leave it as default, and then click add. So now we created two vendor profile. So now if you still wanted to stay in the full screen, you can. Now if you want to come out of the full screen, you see that I don't see anything at the top. You just come right here and you see all the cursors right here, and you can just exit the full screen by clicking on this arrow. Now you're out of the full screen, but you're still there. Okay, so now once that is done, next step you are asked to change the session date. So now if you remember how you change the session date is you go open company and go back to the same company that you're working on, right? You're working on, see now because you change the company name change to whatever the name of your company is. And then here you just change the day, session date 01/31/2021 and press OK. That's how you change the session date. Okay, now session date is changed and you asked to record transactions. So there are almost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 transactions. So what I want you to do is I want you to read the transaction and understand what kind of transaction they are. The first one, January 1st, is an invoice. January 2nd is also an invoice. January 15 is also an invoice. January 20th is an invoice and a prepayment. And then January 30th, it's an invoice as well. And January 28th, it's a debit note. Okay. So the last transaction on January 28th is a debit note. So what I recommend you to do is whenever you have a debit note, I recommend you all the debit and credit note do it in a separate batch. So what we're going to do is we're going to record all the invoices. We go into AP, go to invoice batch list, create a new batch. And here we say January transactions. First transaction we have is we purchase barbecue from Costco. So here we select Costco as a supplier and invoice, and the date is January 1st. And the document number is 4598. Oh, so the document number is 100121 100121, and the total is 500 plus the HST, which is 565. And we purchase barbecue from the Costco business. So it's not a cost of sales account, right? So always remember what you're buying, and based on that, you have to select the GL code. So we bought furniture. So this is not a cost of sales. We bought a furniture. So we have to change the account to furniture, right? So we change that account to the furniture, and here you can just remove the distribution code because this is not buying food, you're buying furniture. So here the the amount that goes at the bottom is always the amount before the HST. So you put 500, you come to the taxes, $65 shows up here automatically, and then you come to the terms, and the terms for that is net 10. So this vendor, we have 30, but we are only getting 10 days, maybe because we have the business, we are new business, so they're not giving us the full 30 days. So we say, you know what, I tell you this is 10 days, so you change that to the net 10. Okay, and then we click add. Then the next transaction we have is you purchase food from Golden Food Services 1000 plus HST for the takeout menu invoice 4598. So now this one you're buying food. So this is from Golden Food Services and the date is 2nd of January and the document number is 4598 and the document order is 1000 plus HST, which is 1130. This one you're buying cost of sales for the takeout. So you haven't started the dining, so therefore this one your distribution code is for the takeout. Okay, so we're buying the takeout food from this particular vendor. And we bought it for 1000 plus HST, so you put the $1000 right here. Then you check the taxes, it will automatically calculate it, 130. The terms for that is again net 10. So you change this to net 10. Then you check the total. Everything looks fine. You add, click add. Then you move into transaction number 3. You picked up a patio furniture from Costco Business for 3,000 plus HST, invoice number 123456, and the term is 210 net 30. So this time you got a Costco term 210 net 30 and you bought a furniture for $3,000. So again, the vendor is Costco, invoice, the date is 15th, and the invoice number is, and the amount is 3,000 plus HST, so it's 3,390. Okay, let's use the calculator. 3,000 times 1.13, 3,390. And again, this is not the distribution code for the takeout. What we're buying is the furniture. So we again select the account, furniture, and the amount is, before HST is $3,000. And then you come right here to the taxes, Ontario, 13%, 390, looks fine. Come to the term. Now the term for this invoice is 210 net 30. Okay, we check the total, looks fine, no on distribution amount, click add. Okay, then moving to transaction number 4, you order the food from Gordon Food Services, 5,000 plus HST, invoice 5001. Cost of the food was split between both the department, 40% for not the drinks, actually 40% for the dining, and the 60% is for the takeout. Okay, but the GFS this time, because you're buying for $5,000, they want a deposit of $1,500. You made the payment of $1,500 by check 1001 with the term of net 10. So again, the vendor is Gordon Food Services, invoice dated January 20th, and the document number is 5001, and the total is 5,000 plus HST, which is 5,650. And now for this one, it has to split between both the departments. So the dining is 40%. So dining is 40%. So 5,000 times 40% is 2,000. Then you press the insert button to go to the next line. When you come to the next line, you're going to select the distribution code for the takeout. And the takeout is 60%, and 60% of 5,000 is $3,000. Okay, so anytime there is a prepayment, there's two transactions. There's one invoice and then another one is a prepayment. So here we recorded the invoice, we check the taxes, looks fine, check the total, looks fine, and we click add. Now you recorded the invoice but not the prepayment. So now to record a prepayment, what would you do? You go back, click on prepayment, and here you are going to create a new batch. So this batch that you're creating, this is the batch that's getting created in the payment batches. So here we call this prepayment Gordon Food Services, and the date for that is January 20th, TD checking, and again we can call this prepayment, invoice number 5001. Okay, and always remove this print check, everyone. This is important for you guys to know, because otherwise you always get the error message for printing checks. So always remove the print check and put the check number manually. Okay, so here the check number is 1001, and the amount is not 5650, it's 1,500. And then we click add. So now this transaction is recorded in batch number 1 in the payment batches. And you close it, and then you're back into your invoice batch. So you're done with the invoice, you're also done with the prepayment. Now you click on this new icon to go into entry number 5. Now, entry number 5 is January 30th. You picked up dining furniture worth $2,000 from Costco plus the HST. So now you're also buying more furniture. Next time you're buying it for the dining, but it doesn't matter. It still be a furniture for the company. So again, Costco, invoice dated January 30th, invoice number is 124578, and the amount is 2000 plus HST, which is 2260. And again, we're going to remove this distribution code and we're going to select furniture, and here it's $2,000. That's the amount before HST. Check the taxes, that looks fine. The term for this is net 10. Okay, so we select net 10 and we check the total, looks okay, and we click add. Okay, then the next transaction that we have is actually a debit note. So you receive a debit note from DR991 from Costco for invoice 123456 for the shipment charges. So the invoice that you received, now you're just receiving a debit note for the shipment charges. So now I recommended you that whenever we have a debit note and credit note, we will post the batches for all the invoices first and then record the debit note. So we will do this in a separate batch. So what we're going to do is we finished recording all the other transactions. So what we can do is we can close this one here, come to this batch. This has the 5 transactions we recorded. Change from ready to post from no to yes and click post. So you posted this particular batch which included the 5 transactions for the invoices. But remember, there is a one payment transaction as well. Now to find that payment transaction, you need to go into payment batch list, and over here again you say ready to post from no to yes and click print post. And now this has been completed. So that means we posted 6 transactions, 5 in the invoices and 1 in the payment. Now after that, you also need to decode the debit note. Now the debit note is recorded in the invoice batches as well. So we're going to create a new batch, and here batch number 2, we can call this January debit note. And here this debit note is from Costco, and the date is January 28th. And this is not an invoice, it's a debit note. Now the reason that we are doing in a separate batch because we want to apply it to the existing invoice. So it's going to ask me the debit note number. We're going to say is DR991, and it's going to say which invoice you want to apply against. I have 3 invoices from Costco. Which one do you want to apply it against to? I want to apply this again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I select that and I put the amount for that is 250. Okay, and now what did I buy on that invoice? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I bought what did I buy from that invoice? I bought the furniture. So that means the cost that I'm paying for the furniture will also need to go to the furniture account as well. Because anything that you will pay to buy that furniture will be recorded to the furniture account, and there is no HST on that. So therefore what we're going to do is we're going to put the 250 here, then we come to the taxes and manually change this to enter and make this 0 and 0 here, and we click distribute. So anytime you're changing the taxes, you have to change this to from calculate to enter and then manually remove the amount for the taxes to make it 0. Once you click the zeros, you have to click on distribute taxes. Then you go into the total tab and you see that there is no undistributed amount and you click add. Okay, so now I recorded my debit note as well. I had to post it, set ready to post, yes, and click post. So this posting sequence 2 has been posted as well. That's how you record the the uh, the payment. Now what you're going to do next is you need to record manual payments. So now before I go into the manual payments, there was actually reports that I'm asking you to print, which I have not printed. I wanted to show you so that way you can print that at the same time when I'm asking you to do it. So I'm going to go back to your instruction sheets. So right here, I was asked to print these 3 reports, which we have not printed. That was in step number 9. So we're going to print these reports before we go into the next step. So I'm going to go back and print these reports. So to print those reports, I need to go to AP setups. The first one I need to do is the distribution code. So before I do that, I want to print destination, change it to preview, paper size, orientation, A4. Anytime you're printing reports in this software, these are the settings that you have to make sure you are in. Preview, paper size, orientation, A4. And we're going to select first one is distribution code, print. And we click on export, PDF, okay. And here, the temporary folder, I'm going to create a new folder. Okay, it's not letting me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here to my files, temporary files. Oh, there are actually folders. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create add folder and I name this as HP5B reports. Okay, so I'm going to save these files into that folder. And this one I'm going to call this report 1 distribution code. Okay, close and close. The next one I need is the terms. So I'm going to terms, print. Okay, so include multiple payments. Now in this case, I know there's no multiple payment code, so I'm okay. This is our 2 terms. And next one we need is the vendor profiles. So for that, I need to go to AP vendor reports, vendors, and I'm going to say include address and profile. And I click print. And I will export PDF, and I call this R3 vendors. Okay, so we've done that. So that means we have 3 reports. Now, if you want, just to be on a safer side, what I will do is I click on my files, going to temporary reports. I will simply go in and click on it. So that way I know that these are not just sitting here, but it will be sitting in my download folders as well. Okay, I recommend you to do that so that way in case by mistake if you close anything or something happens, you have the reports that you have printed and you have worked on. Okay, so going forward, we have recorded these transactions already. And here in report 4, you're asked to report the posting journal for the invoices. So now, actually, before we go here, we already posted all these transactions, including the payment as well. But here I'm only asking you report 4, only print me the posting journal for the invoices. So now to do that, I need to go to AP transaction, go into posting journals. And here I'm going to say from 1 to 2. And I click print. Okay, now this has two sequence, batch 1 and batch 2. Batch 1 and batch 2 is at the bottom. So click here, and this one will be my R4 posting journals. Okay, and close and close. So now I'm done with this. Now what I'm asked to do is to record these transactions in a payment batch. Okay, so these are manual payment you're recording. So now to record a payment, you go into AB transactions, go into payment batch list, and you have to create a new batch, and we will call this January payments. And the first payment that we're recording is a check that we're issuing to Costco to pay invoice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is done on January 25th. And the vendor is Costco. And payment check. And remember what I said? Remove the print check and manually put the check number 1002. Okay, and you're making a payment by check. And now you have to find out what invoices you're outstanding for this supplier. You click on this arrow. Once you click on this arrow, it will show you all the outstanding invoices. So the one that we're paying is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you say yes to only that invoice that you want to pay. And there was a discount available. See, it's automatically taken because it was within the number of days. And then this is the amount that you're paying, right? So now you don't have to worry about it. Automatically takes that amount and put it right here that this is the payment that you're making. The reason the amount is low because remember there was a debit note as well which was applied against this invoice, so therefore it automatically adjusts everything. Now what you have to do is you simply click add to record that transaction. Then you go to the next transaction, payment number 2. You're making a payment to a rent through ABC landlord. So now this is a rent payment. So this is not payment for an invoice. So this is a cash payment, which is a miscellaneous payment. This is happening on January 31st. And payment by check. And then remove the print check and put the amount check number 1003. And here you can just say invoice, you can say January rent. And the tax group is Ontario. Gives you a warning, but you can just press yes. And what are you paying for? You're paying for rent. And the rent must be divided between both the departments 30% and 70%. So you are going to select the rent account. We don't have the rent account here. So what we need to do is we need to create the rent accounts. Okay, so I usually ask you, but this time I didn't ask you to create these accounts. So therefore what you have to do is you have to minimize this screen, or you can just close it and then come back to it. You can say no to this entry and then we'll come back to it. So what you have to do here is you have to go to the journal ledger and create these two accounts. So we need to create rent for the 001 division and rent for 002 division. So we're going to create the account. So I'm going to look for the account number that I need to use. So here is 5300. So we can do 5400001 for the department. And here we can call this rent takeout. 001 is for the takeout, yeah. And then here we say it's a debit, income statement, and other expenses. We can just put fixed expenses, and the structure code is department because this has a department number, and we click add, and then we do the same thing for 05 5402, and this one we do is for dining, and everything else remain the same, and click add. So we created the rent accounts, two rent accounts for two different departments. Now we go back to the AP transactions again. We don't need to create a batch because the batch is already there. So we simply go in that batch. We need to create another entry which we disregarded before. This payment is already there, so we just create another payment. That was a miscellaneous payment on January 31st. Now this is miscellaneous payment. You don't need to create a vendor. We can simply type in the vendor name here because this is a cash payment. So ABC landlord and payment by check, and we remove that print check because we're doing a manual check 1003, and taxes we say Ontario. And now for the account we need rent account, so we're going to do rent for the takeout 30%, which is 300, and then insert to go to the next line, then do 5400 002 for the dining department, and that's 700, and see the tax is automatically calculated, so it's 130 on 1000, and the total payment is 1130, and we click add. Invoice number cannot be blank, so we're going to do this is January rent, and we click add, and we close that. Okay, so now you recorded this transaction. Now you have to post that. If for posting it you say right to post, yes, and click print post and close it. Now this batch has been posted. So now in the next tab, if you look at it, I didn't ask you to print it, so you can just continue with the next step. Your manager asked to create a selection code for all the vendors with the payment due date and the discount date. So now you know recording anything, you're creating a selection code. So to the selection code, you go into AP setup, payment selection codes. So here we're going to create a code for all, I'm going to say all vendors. And from TD checking account, and based on due date or discount date for all the vendors. You click add. Okay. You create a selection code, and the next step what it's asking you to do is January 31st, your manager asks to create a payment batch using the selection code all to pay all the invoices that are due on January 31st and has a discount date from January 1 to January 31st. However, he asked to hold the payment for invoice 4598 for Gordon Food Services as there was an issue with the product that we received. So in this case, what's going to happen is you are asked to create, instead of doing a manual payment, your manager said don't do manual payments, run the checks for all the outstanding invoices that are due on January 31st or anything that has a discount from January 1 to 31st. But make sure you don't pay the Gordon Food Services for that particular invoice. So before we run the batches, before we create a batch, we have to put a hold on this invoice 4598. Now to put a hold, you have to go to AP transactions and click on control payments. With the control payment, you go find the vendor, and from there you pick up the invoice. So there's two invoices from this. 4598 is the one that he wants us to put a hold. So we said 4598, and we click on this arrow to go, and it tells you that this invoice is due on January 12. Now he don't want to pay this invoice because there's an issue. So what we do is, see the status for this is normal. We put the status on hold and click process. So now when you run the check, it will not pick this up because this is on hold. So now what you're going to do is, now you're going to go into the system, you're going to process the payment batch. Now to process the payment batch, you're going to, instead of creating a manual payments, you simply go in and ask the system to create a batch. So you go here, create payment batches, and here it's going to ask you the selection code, which is all, and you say when do you want the payment to be created on 31st, from TD checking, the criteria, what is the due date that you want to select, say anything that's due on or before this date, and anything that has a discount from January 1 31st. So if there's any discount, we want to use that, and then we click registered. So we do registered and then we do generate. So to registered, it simply tells you which payment will be selected. So first you always have to do the registered. You click registered and it tells you that there's only one invoice that is getting paid, which is Costco business invoice number 002, and the net amount is 565, and this was due on January 1. So this looks simple, but think about it. There's multiple vendors you have, multiple invoices you have. Instead of you manually finding which one is due, you can just tell the system to do the payment batch for all the outstanding invoices. So this saves a lot of your time, right? So in this case, we only have one invoice. And what I'm asking you to do is click register. So you want to make sure when you do that, this invoice is not picking up because we put the hold on that. So if you are still picking up this invoice, I mean, there is something wrong. We didn't put the hold on this invoice. Okay, so then you go back to the previous step I did to make sure you put a hold on that invoice. Once you're okay with that, you print report number 5 and call this a check pre-registered. So what we're going to do is we're going to save this report as report 5. So this is R5 pre-register. And now we're happy with that batch and we click generate. So now when we click generate, what it did, it created batch number 3 with that payment. So now you close it. Now you go into the payment entry, not the payment entry, you go into the payment batch listed and you go into this batch. Now if you're printing checks, you just click print here to print checks. But if you don't want it, you can manually do a check number here. So now the reason that we do this, so that we don't have to manually write checks, we want the system to do everything. So in this case, there's only one check, but think about if it's like 50 checks that you need to print. It will take you 1 hour to write all the checks. So what you can do is you can just tell the system to print check. It will pick up the default check advisor report and you simply click print. Oh, you have to put the check number. That's fine. So I just press cross because there's no formatting that we have on the software. We simply close it and it's just going to give you a note saying is the checks got printed successfully. You just say yes over there. Okay, see, I assigned the check number 1001. I don't want that. I want you to remember the next check number was 1003, so you would have just put that check number. But again, if you have a wrong check number, that should be fine. I'm not going to be marking it on the actual check numbers. That's irrelevant for me. So now checks are printed. Now what you can do is you can say ready to post to yes and click print and post. Now that batch has been posted as well. Okay, so that is done. So your batch is posted. So now you're done with this. Now report 6, you are asked to print a check log. So now to print a check log, you go into AP transactions, go into it's actually the check log is a check registered. So you want the check register for all the checks 1 to 3 and click print. So check log and the check register, they're the same thing. So this will give you the check numbers, all the checks that were printed for all the vendors. So you know, make sure you print this and that will be your report number 6 6 check register. Okay, done and close. And after that, print the aged accounts payable, on January 31st. Print. Okay, and then you print it. And this is R7 paste. Okay, and close it and close. And once that part is done, now what you asked to do is, this is something that that is actually going to be done in chapter 15. So maybe you want to make a notes for these things if you have not done chapter 15. So in the general ledger, now you're done with the accounts payable module. So you're done posting all the transactions and you printed all the reports that you needed from AP. So now you're ready to jump into the general ledger. And now in the general ledger, what it's asking you to do is, for the bank and accounts payable account, we want to make sure they are set up as a control accounts, and the bank account should be linked with the AP and BK subledger, and the accounts payable is linked with the AP subledger. So now here what you're going to do is, you're going to the general ledger GL account. You're going to find the bank account first. Go to a bank account, and the bank account is a control account, which is fine. And then over here right now it's only linked with the bank module. You're going to press insert to go to the next line, and here you have to select the AP. So it doesn't matter which one, you just select the one that has AP. So now this account should accept the entries from BK and accounts payable. And then you're going to go into the accounts payable account. And this accounts payable account, what we're going to do is, we're going to make this account a control account as well. Click on a subledger, and now we're going to make sure this is linked with the AP module. So that means it's only going to set the entries from AP module only. And we click save. Now we made the bank account and accounts payable account as a control account. So now, as I mentioned earlier before in the course, any transaction that you record in these modules, AP or any other module that we use, they get recorded in the general ledger. Now it is your responsibility to post those entries in the general ledger. So what entries cannot be posted is the opening batches. So if you have any opening entries that's coming from these modules, they don't get recorded, but everything else need to be recorded. So what you need to do is, you need to post all the batches in the general ledger, including the AP batches. So now we're going to come right here into the GL transaction, look at all the batches. So if we look at it, you see that there's an opening entry which is already posted. This was from the general ledger. Then there's an BK banking module. Now this one was the opening entry, right? So we will delete this one. Then AP, there was no opening entry because this company didn't have any AP transactions before. So all these transactions need to be posted. The only one that need to be deleted is the BK one. So what we're going to do is, with the BK, we select it and we click delete. And the reason for that is because this entry was an opening entry for the $8,000 that we set up in the bank account. Now these entries need to be posted. And what we're going to do is, we're going to change the status from ready to post from no to yes. Instead of posting individual one, we're going to say click post all. Then it will post all the entries. Now you see that all of them are posted except this one, and the one that was there, that is deleted. Now we close it. Now finally what you need to do is the printing of a trial balance. So now you go into the GL reports, click on trial balance, and then click print. and this is the trial balance. Now you save this report as report number 8, trial balance. Okay, and then we're done with the report. Now you're asked to do a backup. So if you're using a temp folder, create this folder on the temp folder and then do a database dump. If you're using your own software, you're going to create the same folder and you will create it on the C drive. So I'm going to go into my temp folder and I will create a folder and name it as 5B backup. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a database dump on this folder. So I go to admin service, database dump, and now I need to dump ap-dat and ap-sys, and I will dump it into the backup folder, dump, and now I need to dump apt-sys and dump. Okay, now dumped ap-dat and ap-sys. Now because that dump file is actually a folder, now what we had to do is before we move in, because we cannot move out the folder from this into the C drive unless and until it's a zipped one. So what we're going to do is we are going to go in to the so what I did, and I know for some of you guys asked me that question, you can minimize the screen. So by clicking this middle one, it will reduce the size of your screen and then you can see your side windows here. Now I need to go into the 7-zip and look for this backup folder right here. What I want this system to do is I want to zip this folder. So I click on this plus icon and press OK. And what this did, this created the database backup right here. Okay. And now I'm good. I have everything that I need, but I want to make sure that I transfer all that information into my C drive. So I go into my folder, temporary files. So I already downloaded the first 3 reports. So I'm going to go into my reports. I need 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 8. So I have all these reports, and then I also need my backup file as well. And the backup one I need is the one with the .7-zip. So I will need that. So I have all of these in my C drive download folder. So I locate that folder. Okay, these are all the files that I need. So I will copy everything and put it into the appropriate folder. So I go into my C drive and I will have home practice exercise 5B, and over here inside I'll paste it and I have all my reports and backup. Okay, so now I'm done and I have all these reports, and now if you wanted to compare these reports, I'll post my reports on the Blackboard and you can compare it. Now you can simply close this software and you can also end the session. Now make sure you have all the reports on your C drive before you end your session. You end it and you're done. Okay. Now this is how you will complete the home practice exercise number 5B. Okay. So now when you are doing this, make sure you understand each and every step. So your exam next week doesn't has to be exactly the same. It will be very similar. The steps will be the steps that we did here. They will be quite similar in your exam as well, and you will be given at least 2 hours to complete the entire exam. So if that is the case, that you want to make sure you practice this and you should able to do this exercise within the 90 minutes to make sure that you're comfortable to do your test within the 2 hours. Now, after you complete this work, if you're working on your exam, The only last step that you have left is submitting these reports through a Blackboard using the Dropbox. So once you have all those files and the backup, you need to send all of that through the Blackboard using your test2 Dropbox. And that folder, I will share the link with you guys, and you'll be doing exactly what you did for test one to submit these reports. Okay, so this is it from my end, guys, and I wish you guys good luck for completing this and doing all the work that I assigned you for this week. Take care. Bye bye.